From the studios of NBC 12 and ABC 25, this is First Coast News at 5:30.
Many sleepless nights have gone on from the investigators in the case to the state attorneys involved with this to members of the public. And our goal from the beginning was to find Lonzie. Unfortunately, it turned pretty obvious pretty quickly that that wasn't going to happen with him being alive. But that didn't stop our efforts and didn't stop the interest of the public. It is a very sad day that we find these remains that we believe to be Lonzie's.
Good evening, everybody. It is a story that has captivated our community, and tonight, major developments. JSO now says there is an overwhelming amount of support among our community about the disappearance of Lonzie Barton, closure for this very public case on the First Coast.
JSO investigators say the remains of missing toddler Lonzie Barton, they believe, have been found. Earlier today, we were told that Ruben Ebron reached a plea agreement to a charge of aggravated manslaughter. A lot has happened since then in court. We have been on the scene of the search all day, and we have team coverage for you tonight. Heather Crawford is live from the scene right now with the very latest. Heather?
Well, Jeannie, just in the past few minutes since we last spoke to you at 5 o'clock, I want you to take a look. This is popped up at the scene. There's signs, there's teddy bears, there are flowers, and Lonzie's loved ones who are out here at the scene, along with the community that has just embraced this little boy and has spent countless hours on their own time doing private searches looking for him, put up these signs. And one thing they all share in common, that all of them that I've spoken with have said, is that they do not want to see a plea deal. Right now, State Attorney Angela Corey would not say anything about a plea deal, saying that stuff could be in the works down the road, but until a plea deal is accepted in open court, there's nothing she can say about that. The folks who are here tonight, who have so much invested in this, want to see no plea deal. But again, right behind this crime scene tape down this road, down Snyder Road, in a wooded area, is where the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office believes the remains of Lonzie Barton were discovered sometime after midnight. Stephen Dial, my colleague, is continuing our team coverage now. Stephen, you've been on the scene with me for hours today, and we listened together to Chief Tom Hackney, to Sheriff Mike Williams, and also to State Attorney Angela Corey tell us what all that has transpired in this very, very busy day with big developments in this case.
That's right, and JSO was led here late last night, according to Sheriff Mike Williams, and he says that it was Ruben Ebron who led them here. The press conference was rather lengthy, but they said that Ebron did lead them here. It was information that he gave them over the weekend and information that he gave them last week. Chief Tom Hackney has been the face of this investigation since it started months ago this past summer last year. Chief Hackney says the way Lonzie's body was discarded is not the way anyone's child should be found, and he would not go into grave detail about the surroundings of Lonzie's body, but he said it was found in a wooded area. Take a listen at some of that press conference that happened earlier today.
Justice is sometimes slow and sometimes piece by piece. And today is just another piece of the justice that we have. Finding the body is a very, very large piece of that. This community, I can tell you from comments that I have received since the beginning of this family of this community is really Lonzie's family, and they love him. The investigative team, I can tell you, they take it with them to bed every night. Today's actions, today's recoveries, and what led us here is, again, it's just a piece of that justice.
And that was the theme at the press conference, them saying this is just a piece of the puzzle, and this is really the engine that investigators and the state attorney's office believes will get this train going as far as prosecuting whoever is responsible for Lonzie Barton's death. And they continue to say today that they believe that Ruben Ebron is the prime suspect.
Is the prime suspect. And you know, all of us this morning, from reporters to Lonzie's relatives to searchers, everyone woke up today expecting the trial of Ruben Ebron to begin. He's charged with child neglect and lying to police. Went to court today. That trial was delayed, and then late this afternoon, we get confirmation from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office that police strongly believe they have found the remains of that precious little blue-eyed, blonde-haired boy. I want to continue our team coverage now with my colleague Clark Foraker, who's been out at the scene today, and it has been a very emotional day for Lonzie's relatives, some of whom Clark has spoken with. Clark?
Yeah, Heather, now those relatives trying to really understand the emotions, feel all the emotions that are very complicated. Of course, they're frustrated and sad that Lonzie's no longer with us, but in a way, this sort of brings them some closure. It puts a bit of a bow on just the first step of that case because they've been able to find a body. And speaking of that body, I want to show you behind me. JSO is still searching here off Phillips Highway. You see kind of a red golf cart ATV-looking vehicle. They have been using that all afternoon to go back into the woods. We presumably believe to the location, the trash pile, as Chief Tom Hackney called it, where little Lonzie's body was laid by, we're told, Ruben Ebron. And so as the search continues into the night, and JSO, of course, saying they're not done processing that crime scene, the family members trying to just put it all together and get their emotions in check.
The last months and months I've been preparing myself that, you know, we wasn't going to find him alive at all. And I prayed we'd find him. He never gave up hope. So I prepared for this.
Anyone who's lost a loved one unexpectedly can understand what she's saying right there. Just the difficulty of hoping that the best will come, understanding, of course, after all this time that the worst was expected, and obviously JSO confirming today the body of Lonzie Barton found in the woods just over my shoulder. Their processing of that crime scene still continuing this hour. Coming up tonight, all new at 6, you'll hear more from that family member and from the Larimore side of the family, Lana's side of the family, what they're saying about the developments and the locating of little Lonzie's body this morning. For now, Heather, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Clark Forick reporting live for us tonight. And I want to point out that Chief Hackney told us this afternoon that police believe that Lonzie Barton was dead prior to Ruben Ebron reporting him missing the night of July 24th. One of the challenges the medical examiner is going to have is forensically analyzing this case because it has been almost 6 months since Lonzie disappeared. So State Attorney Angela Corey telling us that today. We want to continue our team coverage now live from the Duval County Courthouse. That's where we find Brittany Dion, who was in court today. Brittany?
Hi, Heather. The courthouse, everything has calmed down significantly here in the last 30 minutes. But today, with all the waiting, you would think it would be calm. But there was a sense of anxiety, anticipation in the air as we all waited on Ruben Ebron to enter the courtroom and take a plea deal. That did not happen. Now, Ebron did come into the courtroom earlier this morning for a very short period. The defense asking for a continuance in this case, waiving their right to a speedy trial. Now, the court staff were told to be ready for another hearing around noon, at which time everyone went back into the courtroom. Attorneys came in and out. We sat there for several hours, and finally, around 4 p.m., a bailiff stood up and told everyone to clear the courtroom. Ebron would not be taking a deal. He would not show his face. Now, his parents have been by his side this entire time. We caught up with his mother right after court was cleared today. Take a listen to what she has to say about this entire ordeal.
Sleepy.
I know, I understand. Do you want him to take a plea deal? Do you know anything about it?
I have no idea. They've been going back and forth. We don't know anything.
Now, his mother also said that she is tired, she's sleepy, that she just wanted to go home. We also spoke to Ebron's father. We'll hear from him at 6 o'clock. Heather, back to you.
Brittany Dion, thank you very much. So again, late this afternoon, police confirming that they believe they have discovered the remains of Lonzie Barton, the 21-month-old reported missing almost 6 months ago, back in late July. And today, this big development in this case, relatives saying they want closure and they want justice. And if you see these signs behind me, they do not want to see a plea deal in this case. We're going to continue to stay out at this scene, tracking all of the developments, and we will have another live report for you coming up tonight on First Coast News at 6 o'clock. That is the latest from Snyder Street. Shannon and Jeannie, we'll send it back into you.
All right, Heather, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Continuing our team coverage inside, Janet Johnson, our legal expert, is here. You were in court today expecting the child neglect trial to begin. What a weird scene.
You know, it was weird, but I've seen some of this unfold, so I kind of thought, all right, this is on script. He waived speedy trial, so he's not being, you know, an obstructive, you know, personality, and something's close to being resolved, because you wouldn't waive if you were, you know, basically saying, listen, bring me to trial or nothing. So when we came back this afternoon, I actually asked some of the bailiffs, we are sitting here expecting something to happen, right? Because it just kept waiting and waiting, and they were bringing in more bailiffs, so I thought this is when the plea happens. And they said, yeah, no, it's going to happen. And then they all came out of chambers, and Al Perkins, the defense lawyer, went back to talk to Mr. Ebron, and Rich Manti poked his head in, which is unusual to see him go into the conference room. You don't normally have a prosecutor in there. And then we were told to leave. So that's not normal in the script, but I don't think that means we're back to square one. I don't expect a trial.
So looking ahead from at, you know, 5:40 tonight of what is on the calendar early, you can glean a couple of things from that.
Yeah, well, when I look at the clerk screen, which is where the next entry would be, what's coming up, it's set for a pretrial. It's not set for jury selection. And when you take that in conjunction with what Angela Corey said in her little presser earlier, I don't think that they're saying, all right, we're going back to trial. He's walked away. He's not being cooperative. There's just some piece of information that they don't have that the defense, I think, needs in order to get to a plea.
Interesting. Well, Janet Johnson, thank you. Thanks for being here earlier today, and we are very glad you're here with us on this case. Jeannie?
All right, thank you so much. You know, this case has been going on since July of last year, July 24th to be exact. There has been a lot going on since that date. It always feels good to kind of review so we can all be stable with the information. If you recall, Reuben Ebron was arrested the night after the boy was reported missing. At 2:20 a.m., Reuben Ebron called JSO and said, my car's been stolen, Lonzie's inside. An Amber Alert was sent out and the massive search ensued. The car was found that morning, but there was no sign of Lonzie. About midnight that same day, Ebron was arrested on child neglect charges and has been in the Duval County Jail since. The search for Lonzie Barton continued for days, primarily on the south side. Crews searched ponds, they looked under bushes, they looked through creeks, there were dive teams, canine teams. Their focus searched for days and went up to the north side, in fact, for a while as well. Lonzie, though, still missing. On August 3rd, JSO Chief Tom Hackney releases this surveillance video of what he says is Ebron dashing away from the car that he initially reported as stolen. Then, almost 2 weeks later, on August 15th, Lonzie's mother, Lana Barton, and the man that we thought and police said was Lonzie's father, Chris Barton, sat down in an emotional, exclusive interview with Heather Crawford. Just days after that, Lana was arrested on child neglect and lying to police charges. Now, in late October, a judge grants a motion to try Lana and Ebron together. In late November, that trial was delayed, pushed back to this upcoming week. And just last week, Lana took a plea agreement to testify against Ebron in his trial for child neglect and lying to police. And we, of course, now know that today there's no official plea deal accepted by Reuben Ebron. This morning, that trial was delayed. So, to be sure, many, many twists and turns and a lot of questions, very, very dramatic at this point. But the legal process just beginning for all of this as well.
All right, our coverage continues right after this.
Was a huge story that we have been covering all day, both on air and online. Good evening.
Jacksonville Sheriff Mike Williams told the media today that police strongly believe they have found the remains of the missing toddler, Lonzie Barton. Now, this comes after a trial was set to begin this morning for Reuben Ebron, the main suspect in this case. And this morning, we thought trial would start on child neglect charges and of lying to police. But today, sources say Ebron will now be charged with aggravated manslaughter, a charge that is rare.
A search for the baby's body took place on the south side, and we received numerous tips last night on police presence on Snyder Road, and that continued today. JSO still investigating, and tonight we have team coverage for you on this breaking story.
First Coast News at 6 starts right now.
From the studios of NBC 12 and ABC 25, this is First Coast News at 6.